We are looking at chapter number 1, Constitution, Why and How. We will talk about Constitution. We'll take the Indian Constitution, how it was built and how it has taken the shape. So first of all, all the discussion will be about working of Indian Constitution. So we'll be talking about the Indian Constitution. So the government and the various principles that bind the institutions of the government, they have their origin in the Constitution of India. That is, the Constitution decides various things. The Constitution decides, declares, defines various things about the government, about the different institutions which are under the government. So what we are going to see is what exactly Constitution means and what is the Constitution for the society. That means for us, for the normal people, what does Constitution do and what does it mean for us? And then how does this Constitution divides the power to different institutions, to different parts of the society? And how was the Indian Constitution was made? What was the process? Who were involved? How long does it take? So before we start, let us ask a question. Why do we need a constitution actually? Just imagine that you are in a group. That is, you are a member of a reasonably large group. Say, you are in this group, I am in this group, one of our friend is also in this group. Now, you can be a Muslim, I can be a Hindu, you can be from a lower caste, I can be from a higher caste, this person can be, say, a Sikh, and he may be from some other class. And we have different profession. You may be an engineer, I may be a doctor, he may be, say, a technician, a mechanical technician. So we have different professions. Some are poor, means you may be rich, I may be poor, he might be some moderate kind of person. And because of our understanding, we have different thoughts. That is, in various things, we may have some kind of disputes. I will not call it as a dispute, but we may have differences because we are different kind of people. We come from different community. We come from different backgrounds. So there may be some, because we are in a single group. So when we discuss, say we are discussing how much property should one be allowed to own in a country we are living here, and is it compulsory to send our children to the school, and how much we spend money, say money for our security, safety, for the country's safety and security. Should we build a hospital or should we build a park? Can we both, means you and me, can we both come together and we discriminate against this? Means Hindu and Muslim, we just get together and start discriminating this Sikh person? That is, can we discriminate other people? Now, your question, my question, same question, but the answers which you and I are going to give, they are different. Because we are diverse. We are different kind of people. Right? So we need a kind of cooperation, because say, if I'm an engineer, something happens, you come to me. If you are, I'm ill, I have come to you. If we have to do, say, our car broke down, we have to go to this person. So we are a social animal. Human being is a social animal and we have to live together. So there has to be a cooperation. So because of the dispute also, differences also, we need to live together. So we need to have a cooperation between ourselves. So now, why will the group need certain basic rules? Because what will happen? We need certain rules, certain regulation, certain niyam, kanun, so that we live together peacefully. We all have some kind of disputes or problems or whatever differences we have, but still we want to live together. So we need to follow certain basic rules. Because what can happen that if we come together and we made certain situation and we made in the background certain policy that we are going to discriminate this guy and we are going to do something bad to this person. So what will happen to this sick person? Will he be able to live in this group? No. He will be scared to live here because we are now making a group of ourselves and we are trying to discriminate or trying to do something bad with them. So there has to be, every member of the group should have certain rights. They need to understand that these rules are publicly promulgated, means agreed upon. And all the members, you, me and the sick person, we know that there is some minimum degree of coordination between us. That is why we need, in order to live in a society, in a country, we need certain kind of rules and regulations that we all know, and beyond this, if it goes, it will be legally enforceable. That is, the rules are legally enforceable, and if these rules are not followed, if we try to do something to this guy, because of the rules and regulation, because it is enforceable by the law, we can go to jail. We can be taken to task. So that is how, we know that if something bad can be thought or done, the people who are doing bad will be punished. So let us come to the first function of the Constitution. The first function of the Constitution is to provide a set of basic rules that allow for minimum coordination amongst members of the society. You, me and this person. We need to have certain rules so that we have certain kind of coordination between us and we live together. This is the first task of the Constitution. Then the second task, we will be talking about what is the second task of the Constitution. A Constitution is a body of fundamental principles according to which a state is constituted or governed. That is, the Constitution says how the state is going to be run, what kind of government is formed, how the government will be formed, how they are going to rule. So the Constitution has to provide certain answers. That is, say, if a group A is there, a group B is there. I am not going to the community, religion, etc. Just understand that this group, say it has some 1000 people, this also has 1000 people. Now this group says that whatever we say is correct. Now this group also says whatever we say is correct. Or this B group says whatever you are saying is incorrect. A group is saying that whatever you are saying is incorrect. So there is a situation of deadlock. Who is going to decide? Who is going to nirnay kaun lega? Who is going to decide? Now the Constitution is going to give the answer. Whether A is going to take the decisions, A is going to make the rules, A is going to govern, or B is going to govern. So this is the Constitution giving us the answer. Now if you take the example of Soviet Union, what happens there? What happened there? A single party was given the power to decide that single party, that is the Communist Party, it is going to do all the decision. But when we talk about India and other democratic constitutions, that is the constitution which are democratic, loktantric, the people get to decide who is going to govern them, who is going to be the government, who is going to take the decision. So in most of the democratic constitution, we have around 3/4 of the countries which are democratic. So people decides here. So in Indian constitution, for instance, it is clearly mentioned and specified that in most instances, the parliament is going to, that is what we call the legislature. The parliament is going to decide the laws and the policies. Who is going to decide? Parliament. And the parliament itself it is organized in a particular manner. This also is defined by the Indian Constitution. So the second task or second function of the Constitution is coming. The second function of a Constitution is to specify who has the power to make decisions in a society, for a country, for a society, for a group, for a samu. Who is going to take the decision? This is clearly mentioned by the Constitution. Now coming to the third function of the Constitution. Limitation on the powers of government. So what does it mean? The third function of a Constitution is to set limits on what a government can impose on its citizen. These limits are fundamental in the sense that the government may never trespass them. So if a government, see, the government is based on the majority, say a majoritarian government come to power. For example, in Sri Lanka, what happened? This Sihli or Sinhala, this was the majority and their government came. So what they did, they put Tamil in front and the Buddhist, the Tamil language and the not Tamil, the Sinhala language in front and the Buddhist religion. So what happened to the Tamilians? What happened to the Hindus and the Muslims, etc., other ethnicity? They were crushed and there was an unrest of more than 20 plus years in that country. So if the government is not inside certain periphery, or if the Constitution does not decide that the government is not going to go out of this Constitution limits, it is not going to trespass, then only the things will be good for the minorities, basically the minorities and the marginalized class. This is decided by the Constitution. So Constitution is actually limiting the power of government. And the most important way and the common way how to limit the power of the government is to give the fundamental rights to the citizens. Give the fundamental rights to the citizens. That is, the fundamental rights can never be violated by any government. Like I can have a freedom of religion. I can have a freedom of speech. I can have a freedom of expression. So when I have all these, the government can do nothing to, or whatever it does, it can never violate my fundamental rights. This is what is the third function. Okay. So now citizens will normally have right to do certain basic liberties, as I just said, the fundamental rights, that is freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of association. They can make a trade union, they can do business. So that is how these things are done. But let me tell you that in certain emergency situations, these fundamental rights or these certain paridhi or the boundaries government can pass. So the fundamental rights can be taken or withdrawn in this emergency situation. But this emergency situation in India has come only once, and we don't see in future that this is going to happen. Now the next thing comes, what the Constitution does. This is the fourth function. So let me tell you about this fourth function of the Constitution: aspirations and goals of a society. Now you and me, what do we want? We want job, we want education, we want health, we want roti, kapda, makan, right? This is all what we want. So every citizens or any normal citizen of a country, they have certain aspirations. They want certain things. So the aspirations and goals of the society, the people, the Constitution, or you can say the Indian Constitution, is just the reflection of these things. It is just reflecting that what people want. People don't want inequalities. They don't want poor and the rich difference. They don't want some SC/ST and Brahmanwad. They don't want. They just want the whatever inequality is there in the society, they don't want. They want to live their life without deprivation. They want to be enabled. They want to get empowered. So this is how these people would want to live. And for that, in order to remove all these, say, inequalities and deprivation and all those things which are not accepted by the normal citizen, the government needs to be given power. That is, the government needs to be enabled and empowered So the government takes certain measures to do things for the minorities and especially the marginalized class. So in South Africa, we have seen what happened. There was a long history of apartheid, that is the racial discrimination. So the new constitution of South Africa, it has clearly enabled the government to end this racial discrimination, not to lessen or not to just diminish. The South African government or South African constitution has clearly given those rights to the government in order to finish, in order to remove this racial discrimination. See, the framers what they have idea or what they thought is that it is necessary that every person in the society, they should be given minimum dignity and minimum social respect. That is as I said, education, health, etc. So this is the Indian Constitution theory and crust which was in the mind of the framers of Indian Constitution. So the fourth function of a constitution is to enable the government to fulfill the aspirations of a society and to create conditions for just society. That is a society which is nyayapurn, justified for everyone. And those like us who want something, who have aspirations, the constitution tries to fulfill it. Now coming to the fundamental identity of a person or a people, if you say a person, he can be from certain religion, he can be from certain caste, he can be rich or poor. So this is the identity which a person normally has. But now the people as a collective entity come into being only through the basic constitution. So you, me, or whichever else, we come to a collective entity, not like this, but a collective entity we have only because of the constitution. That is, when we are agreeing, we all are agreeing to certain basic norms, certain basic principles. That is, the principle one constitutes. Now we have certain political identity. Then the constitution sets certain constraints. Authoritative constraints means it has certain authority. And what the constitution says, this you can do, this you cannot do. So it has certain constraints which are on us, on the society. So this defines the fundamental values that we may not trespass. We cannot do what is wrong. What we can do is what is right. So now we have the moral identity. So political identity as a whole and a moral identity in terms of the fundamental values which we cannot trespass or go beyond, which we cannot do. This is given by the constitution. And third, more important thing is that it may be the case that many basic political and moral values are now shared across different constitution traditions. Means there are certain basic rules and denominations, certain rules and regulations that has to be given to all the citizens, and that are carried out. Whether you take the constitution of England, you take constitution of say Italy or say India, all have certain basic norms which are shared and which are given to the society and the individuals. Most modern constitution, they create a form of government that is democratic. That is, democratic means for the people. So most of the, as I said, 3/4 of the country of the world, they are democratic. So they form the government that are democratic. And most of them, they say that we are protecting the basic rights of the people, basic rights of the citizens. And as we have seen that this England constitution, let us say we have a constitution. We say this constitution is very good. Can we apply this constitution to England, to Pakistan, to India, to Myanmar at the same time? No. Because all these countries, they have a different historical background. They have this different history, traditions, different revolutions, etc. For example, if you take Germany. Now the constitution of Germany, the German identity was constituted by being ethnically German. And the constitution of Germany, it gave this expression of the identity to these Germans. So this cannot happen elsewhere. For example, if you take India, the Indian constitution does not do that. It is the tradition, it is the World War situation, it was the history of Germany which actually gave the advent of what is going to be in the constitution. But Indian constitution does not make this ethnic identity, being an Indian, being a Hindu, being a Muslim, it does not make ethnic identity a criteria of citizenship of an Indian citizen. So what we have seen is what the government or the constitution functions are, and then we will talk about the authority of a constitution. Now this authority of a constitution we are going to take in the next discussion. Till then, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.